What's going on, guys and girls? Rob here. And two more playoff games coming up today, two more wild card playoffs, both of them the NFC. One to be played in New Orleans at the Superdome, the Mercedes-Benz Superdome or whatever. The other one in Philadelphia, Lincoln Financial Field at 4:35, 4:45, somewhere along in there. And just a preview of today's games. Not that you want to listen to me after yesterday. I went to yesterday. Nothing went the way I thought it was going to go. And now, Bill Belichick, he's not sounding so optimistic about returning. So he could be out on his way out. Would not surprise me at all if Belichick ends up retiring. He realizes that the Golden Fleece is a chance he's going to leave, being Brady. And he's not left with a lot. Not a lot left in the cupboard, except he does have one of the best owners in football, Robert Kraft. Robert Kraft is he goes beyond the extra mile to try to sign some of these players that that are wanted by either coaches, players, assistants, whatever. He goes out of his way to get those players in there, and he's very accommodating to Belichick, something that most owners are not very accommodating to their head coach like that. But he is that way. So that's why I say Belichick will either stay put in New England, status quo, say, look, we got to get this quarterback. We got to do what we got to do. Or I think he may retire. I think it's probably a 50-50 shot right now, maybe even a little bit better than 50% that he retires. I think there's a good chance he will. We'll know more about it next 2 or 3 weeks. If he's in front of the microphone, in front of if the more he's on television, the more chances I say he's probably going to hang it up. If he can stay behind the headlines, stay behind the curtain, so to speak, then there's a chance maybe that he's going to try to stay another year or two. But, he's 68 years old, 67, 68 right now. He is definitely reaching closer to the end as well as Brady, I'm sure. Everybody's talking about, is Brady going to retire? Is Brady going to do this? If he's going to keep playing? Nobody's mentioned to him, does he want to coach? And that I think within itself may keep Tom going. The only reason I say that is because nobody says anything about it. If you hang it up today, would you like to be coaching next year? I don't know. He's got two or three young kids, 3 kids, I think now, and he I'm sure he wants to spend time with them, but there's still that edge he's still got, wanting to win. Could he coach? I think he probably could. I don't know if he'd have the edge on him that Belichick has, but it should be interesting to see what's going to happen. My pick is still, I think Belichick retires. I think Brady goes to a different team. Not so sure about the Chargers now. That may not happen, but I think he goes to a different team, and he'll be there in 2020, the fall of 2020. Today's games now. I'm just getting ready to start in just a few minutes. The Saints hosting the Vikings. Saints explosive offense, probably the best offense of all of the offenses in the playoffs. People say, well, how about Kansas City? Kansas City is not as good. How about the 49ers? I don't think the 49ers are even as good as the Saints in New Orleans. Take them away from home, there'll be a different story. And this will be their home game today. And They won't get the only way they get another home game is if the Eagles run rampant and win today, and then win it at San Francisco next week. And in order for the Saints to get another home game, they would have to win today, go to Green Bay next week and win, and have the Eagles go through. Then the Eagles will be coming to the Superdome. So I just think there's too much offense here for the Vikings to cover. Kamara, it's just too much. Anytime you have a skilled running back, that scares me more than a skilled wide receiver, because not only can he run the ball and catch the ball, he can run routes. There's a lot of things he can do, and he's just as dangerous deep as a wide receiver is. And more often than not, you're either going to have a safety or a linebacker on him. And that's a mismatch right there all the way, all day long. Kamara can run like the wind. For Minnesota to win today, Dalvin Cook has to run for at least 190 yards. And I'm not sure that's going to happen. And when I say that, and Kirk Cousins has got to throw for over 300 yards, and they've got to win the turnover battle, and Cousins cannot do some stupid plays. Like, he can't run backwards with the ball like Josh Allen did yesterday. He just did that, and he really did. He tore up the Bills' chances to win just by some of the stupid sacks he took. If he had just thrown the ball away 2 or 3 times, the Bills maybe today we could be talking about them advancing in the playoffs, but instead we're talking about Houston advancing in the playoffs, and they're going to Baltimore next week. So today I really think New Orleans is going to be a very, very tough out. The Vikings are good, but and probably the second best defense in the NFC right now still left. I think they've got a better defense than Seattle or the Eagles. But, man, oh, man, they just do not have the offense to stir up. I said earlier in the week I thought it was going to be a close game. Here coming to the end of the week, I'm not so sure about it. I'm going to say 36-23 Saints win today pretty convincingly. I think the Saints will win. I hope the Vikes just keep it close, make it an interesting game. The evening game, a 4:40 game, Seahawks are heading to Philadelphia. And Philadelphia fans are very confident this week, very almost borderline cocky confident. And that gets me concerned. When they're on the edge of their seat and wondering if they're going to win or lose, then beware of the Eagles. But when you're this confident and this cocky about it, then I'm starting to think that maybe different avenues of broadcast up in Philadelphia has got them, over the top and overrated to the fact. You got to remember, Seahawks beat them 5 weeks ago, folks. 5-6 weeks ago, they beat them in Philadelphia and beat them by 8 points. Today's a pick'em game. The Eagles are even hurt worse now than they were then. Seattle's got some injuries too, yes. But the Eagles really have the injuries going against them. Zach Ertz, we'll know in about an hour whether Zach Ertz is playing. If my instincts are he probably will, but I believe it'll be on a limited basis. I don't think he'll play over 15, 20 snaps, if that. But we'll see. Then if you win, you still got to go to San Francisco next week. So, you got to kind of judge, how far you want to go with things. Plus, he takes a roster spot if he stays hurt. So you need somebody in there that can go in there and is able to play this week. Ertz, You know, you don't have to put him on injured reserve. If he sits out this week, he might could come back next week. So that's one. Don't be surprised if he's active. Don't be surprised if he's inactive for today. My gut feeling says Ertz plays, but in a very limited basis. I don't think he'll play a lot, but we'll see. The actives and inactives pop up about 2:15, 2:30 today. We'll know exactly who is playing and who is not playing, and it should be fairly interesting. Just getting ready to start the first game of the day. I'm picking the Seahawks to win late, 20-16, 20-17, somewhere along in there. I just don't think the Eagles can hold up with them, and maybe 20-15 even. I'm not sure the Eagles are going to be able to get in the end zone against this team. They have a good kicker, and he does a job for them, but you know, that's probably not going to win a game for you today. Although it could. A kicker could definitely win a game for you today. You know, he won first game in overtime last night, and then, you know, that pick six at the end was pretty, you know, was not very prominent then, really, because the game was pretty much already in the balance. So, all right, about time for football to start today, and well, let's see how sharp the Saints look. If they don't look sharp, Minnesota can definitely beat them. Anytime you're in the playoffs, you get this far, you can be beat. So, all right, guys, have a great one, and don't forget my wrestling, Legends of Wrestling's championships will start this week. So I'll try to get some matches going, maybe even this evening or tonight one, but we'll have it very, very soon. Vikings in their purple, and Saints are in their whites today. Have a good one. Saints kicking off. And until I see you again, God bless. Have a great, great rest of your weekend. Bye-bye.